Hello, welcome to my last video on my cable series. Since the next videos you're going to see me do are going to be at the gym because I was able to structure my schedule, try to go to the gym again. So starting out with hamstrings, it is a good morning exercise, which is kind of similar to my RDLs that I showed earlier, but with this, the weight is on the top of your shoulders, and you're going to be using less weight overall because of how the weight is on top of your back like that. It can pull you out of position pretty well if your weight's too heavy. And later in the workout, I actually used a much heavier weight, pretty much the entire stack, to do this exercise because cables just don't give the same amount of resistance as free weights do. So I was just doing a bunch of reps with the entire stack, and I was a little disappointed, but it felt good enough. The next exercise you're going to do is a weighted neutral pull-up. And you see me have about 15 pounds strapped to my waist, and this is all I need because the cables are constantly pulling on you. So it actually feels heavier doing this than doing free weights, like a plate attached to your waist. Neutral pull-ups, they work more the lats because your arms are in front of you, and how you're pulling in more diagonal fashion. And I just really need to focus on my lats pretty much because they're somewhat a weak point. Next, you're going to see me do a seated wide pull down. And I really enjoy these exercises, but you need this exact setup. Not the exact machine, but how the cables are set up to do it, because most cables are completely on opposite ends, and you're not going to be able to get into a position like this to pull down. Really enjoyed this exercise. I only did it for a week or two, and then I started going back to the gym. I'll miss it, but I can do other variations of it. They're still the same, and if I'm able to set up at the gym, I will do that because how much I really enjoy this movement. But because I'm pulling at a wide angle, it's using a little more upper back, but because it's pulling out in front of me, it's using a little bit of lats at the same time. So it's a little bit like a hybrid exercise. And it gets kind of hard to pull at the end, so you kind of have to really work at it. So the next exercise you're going to see me do is a barbell shoulder shrug or trap shrug. Self-explanatory, doesn't need much explaining here. You're just grabbing the weight, letting it come down and pulling up. And you're trying to not lift with your shoulders, trying to lift with your upper back. So it's more of an up and backward position, almost like it's diagonal. And the best part and the most effective part of this is just letting the weight just stretch you downward. That's how you need your traps to grow, to get a really thick upper back. The next exercise you see me do is a Kelso Shrug, which it's still a shrug, but it's working in a horizontal fashion than a vertical fashion. So the ones you saw me do earlier, that does up and down or depression and elevation of the scapula. This one is forward and back or retraction and protraction of the scapula. So it's working both ways that the traps and scapula can move. And with this exercise, you can make it as heavy as you want and get a full stretch in the exercise because you're not having to worry about actually pulling the weight that much or really pulling it to you. It's just holding the weight and pulling for a couple inches and making sure you're getting that real good retraction in the back. Next, to do a chest fly, simple chest fly. And the only problem with doing chest flies on a cable tower, I think I've talked about this earlier or previously, is that you need something to anchor yourself from the front and something to hold you from the back. So I'm having to put my feet under some cardio pedals, which are uncomfortable because they're hard plastic and I'm wearing socks. And if you pick a weight too heavy, you're going to get pulled back because nothing is pushing against you, especially because I'm having a wheeled chair. Anything heavier than this might mean more of a challenge in stability. Last exercise I'm doing is a chest press. Pretty simple. Have to put my feet under the handles of the cardio equipment because doing it from the bottom wasn't working well enough. And I like this exercise, but I don't really feel like I get a good enough stretch and contraction of the muscle because my hands are a little bit farther apart and just how the thing's pulling me. But that was about it. The last cable exercise for the week. Next is going to be the gym. I'll see you later.